guys. Okay, so I am here in Cairo, and you can see in the background we are at the Great Pyramids of Giza. We are waiting on our tour guide to bring us our tickets from the ticket booth so that we can like actually walk around. I have my GoPro right here. Oh my god, I did not realize how tired I was until I can see the bags under my eyes. But anyways, I have my GoPro here so that when we actually start doing the tour, I can use it without it being shaky and everything. But I just wanted to start my intro. It's the second and a half day we've been here. Thank you. It's the second and a half day. I just got my entry ticket, and so we're about to head on in. So I'll start this video soon. I decided to just combine my entire trip of Egypt into one long video, but I had to start it off with my favorite thing, and that was seeing the Great Pyramids of Giza. These things were huge, and you could only go up the first one, which is the largest one, and up to a very, very short point compared to the whole pyramid. There were also a little place where you could go inside the pyramid, but our guide didn't let us. He said it would be hard to breathe with the mask. I still would have done it. I wanted to, but I didn't go against the whole group. But these things were huge, even with these little stairs that they've put there so that you can go up a little bit. It's actually illegal to climb the whole thing. They say they have a few people who try to break the law and do it, but I was blown away even being able to go up just a few feet of the pyramid. The blocks were massive. Like, each one was almost up to my waist. Like, I mean, you can see how tiny I look just sitting on one block here. And it's funny because a lot of people think there's only these three, but there's actually hundreds of pyramids throughout Egypt. It's just these are the most famous ones. And even at this site, there's the 3 larger ones, but there's also 6 smaller ones around there. And outside of the pyramid is the famous Sphynx, which has the head and signifies the intelligence of a man, but the body and the strength of a lion. It's the first Sphynx of many Sphynx that you actually see throughout Egypt, and I actually have more in this video. The next very, very fun thing that I did was I went ATVing with my Nana. She was the one who took me on this trip. It was just me and her and a big group of people, and we had so much fun. Even though my Nana didn't want to drive, she ended up driving. The guide actually sat on her ATV, but even at times, like, she was just flying away in front of me, and we were just in the middle of the desert. Like, I mean, it's just as far as the eye could see. It was just rocks and sand, and it was really, really cool. Like, I love ATV riding, and this was just like so cool to be able to see the pyramids. So as you can see right here, I mean, like, I was just like flooring, like the full throttle was down on the ATV, and it was just like so fun. Surprisingly, like, the wind wasn't that bad because there was a little wind in the desert, so the one like from her ATV, it just flew off to the side, but it was really cool. Another thing worth mentioning is it was surprisingly cold. Apparently January is the coldest month of the year in Egypt, and so in the heat of the day, quote unquote, it would be about 55-56 degrees. So I was okay with this hoodie on, but there were times that it was cold. It was just a pure dry cold, like in the 40s and 50s there. I was really surprised because you think of Egypt being in the desert being hot. But anyways, this ATV tour was like really, really fun, and this was the last part where we were just going down like a giant dune of sand and rocks. That's why it's so bumpy. And they actually picked us up from the hotel, so we actually got to drive back through the streets. Something that surprised me was how much trash was in the streets in Egypt. Like, everywhere there was just so much trash. I felt really bad for like a lot of the animals. The dogs and cats, because there was so much trash, were surprisingly very well fed, just because of probably how much food they could get out of the scraps. But a lot of people travel on horses and donkeys and even camels, and they weren't in the best of shape. Many of them, I mean, like me being almost done with vet school, I can spot a undernourished animal, and I understand it's like, you know, I'm used to seeing like American well-fed optimal animals, but I didn't want to ride on a horse or a camel that was underweight. So, you know, that was just the better part of me being a vet. But it was just interesting to see like how many horses and stuff you just saw in the street, and you would see them here on the sides like being fed. Their owners would bring them like grass or like fresh greens or whatever, but then you would see the dogs over there because it's also on the side of the road where there was more trash. We passed through residential areas. You would see people who owned horses and stuff, like, and donkeys pulling carts. So it was like kind of cool. You got to like take a step into the community. But for the most part, when we traveled, it was a group of 14 of us, and we traveled on a really, really large bus, like a tour bus, and we went different places. One of the cool places we went to was the Mall of Egypt. It was supposed to be comparable to the Mall of Dubai. If you've ever been, I haven't, but it was really, really nice. I'm from Atlanta. It was like a Linux on steroids. We also went, so we stayed in Cairo, but we went over to this city called Alexandria, which sits off of the Mediterranean Sea. So these were just some clips, and there we went to one of the Roman Catacombs, which I thought was really interesting because when you think of Egypt, you think of Egyptian history, the hieroglyphics and everything, but it was really interesting because apparently when the Romans and Greeks invaded, they stole Egyptian history and their religion. They stole their gods, their paintings, how they mummified it, but obviously it wasn't to the same standard that the ancient Egyptians did it. They tried to mimic a lot of things, and it's really interesting because just based on what like I gathered going to the museums and from our tour guide is that many of the people in Egypt like pay more respect to like the traditional Egyptian people as opposed to the Romans who came in and like kind of like just redid their history. Like before this clip show, there were the little Sphynx with no heads right outside of this catacombs. So anyways, we went on down deep until this winding cell, and so as you can see there's this like middle shaft, and apparently that's how in ancient history they would like just lower the bodies down there. Then there would be someone down at the body to put them in their final places. And so when we got in there, we saw all of these cut out square holes into the rocks, and those were basically where each of those individual tombs and caskets were. And this went on and on. Obviously, a lot of this brick has been put there to keep the foundation up so it doesn't collapse on tourists like me. But it was just so amazing. I think it's so cool what like ancient humans did. Also in Alexandria, we saw Pompey's pillar. That's more Roman. As you can see, Sphynx guarding it, Egyptian origin, but you know, the Romans took it. So that was just left of that. Also, while we were there, we went to this cool fish market where they had all kinds of fish, squid, crab, shrimp, you name it. You literally went up there, told them what you wanted, how much, fried or grilled. It was really pretty. We sat right here on the Mediterranean Sea, and then you could get fries, potatoes, or rice, and they would come out. You got pita, there was garlic sauce, tzatziki sauce, baba ganoush, like you name it. Like I ate so much pita on this trip, but it was really, really good. Another thing me and my Nana did was we went on a Nile River cruise for dinner. The bigger group was staying for an entire 14 days, but me and my Nana only stayed 7. So they were actually doing a multi-day Nile River cruise, but me and my Nana did this one just to say we cruised down the Nile and have a nice little dinner. They also had belly dancing and traditional dancing, and we were right in the front, so we got a front row seat to the show. So yeah, like I said, there were so many animals. Like you would literally just see camels and stuff walking down. I thought it was so cool. You don't see camels a lot in America, and this camel was like giving his owner like a hard time. I thought it was cute. He did not want to go to work because we were right by the pyramids. So you would see in the morning people taking their camels to work. There were so many cats that didn't want to be pet, but you know, I love cats, and so that's where we were eating. I got to try an Egyptian food called kushari. That was that right there. It was noodles, lentils, chickpeas, and rice. We had more pita, more garlic sauce, more tahini. It was just so good. So that was where we were. It was like a little cafe sitting outside. We were in Cairo again. We were passing through this little market. It kind of reminded me of being back in the Caribbean, going to the market Saturdays, or even like when I went to Guatemala over the summer. And you know, I got to see like how their market was in Antigua, and I don't know, I just always like fresh markets like this. I feel like the produce is like so pretty and like so fresh, and I don't know, like I miss it. You don't have stuff like that here in the States. And it was funny because as we were going down the road, we saw a lady selling chicks, and our bus driver just stopped and he bought 4 of them through the window in the middle of like us going to the next place. So he let some of us hold them on the bus, so you know that I held one. I actually held 2. I just don't have a video, I think, where I was holding both of them, and a few other people held them, but it was like so cute. My Nana does not like animals, so she was like, oh no, you can keep that away from me. But the third probably favorite place that we went was to this mosque. It was Muhammad Ali's mosque, and I liked this place so much because I just thought it was beautiful. Like the architecture and everything, like again, I'm just amazed like at how stuff was built like this, like hundreds of years ago. So we had to take our shoes off. You could also put shoe covers on, but I took my shoes off, and I mean, just look, it was so pretty. Obviously, like I'm not Muslim, so like I didn't pray, but there were people in there praying. But like I could have just sat in there. It was so peaceful and it was so quiet, but at the same time you could hear the echoing. It was just nice. Like this place was nice, and it was just beautiful. Like I was so fascinated with this one particular building. We went to a few Catholic churches, but this mosque like blew my socks off. But this video is coming to an end, so that was pretty much my experience in Cairo. This was on top of the mosque. You could just overlook Cairo and you can see the pyramids in the background. This was the view from the hotel. This was the last night before me and my Nana left, and I really hope you enjoyed this video, as always.